Acting President, I rise today to support the bill. I will keep my contributions brief, as my honourable colleagues have very well put why the Liberal Party has decided to put forward this legislation. It is an outcome that I'm sure will be very welcome out in the community, that every time there's an election, they don't have to see their politicians every time they go get a loaf of bread or a carton of milk. It will be very welcome by the volunteers of all political parties. I'm sure that no longer will they have to get up and down a ladder at a Stobie pole to hang these corflutes. But Mr Acting President, this bill was introduced in the House of Assembly around May of last year. It has sat on their notice paper for quite some time. Yet we've seen yesterday and today that there's a sudden enthusiasm from this government to pass this legislation, giving government business time today for a Liberal bill. Timing of this newly found enthusiasm from the government is quite interesting. If only we saw such enthusiasm from the government on all Liberal initiatives. But instead, Mr Acting President, we see this government has an agenda that is so light on, that they can afford to give government business time for a Liberal bill. The notion of banning, limiting or regulating the use of corflutes in election campaigns is not new to the parliament. In fact, Labor members in this chamber have voted against the notion in the past. The Honourable Justin Hanson voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. The Honourable Tung No voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. The Honourable Claire Scriven voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. The Honourable Emily Burke voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. The Honourable Ian Hunter voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. The Honourable Russell Wortley voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. And the Honourable Leader of this place voted against it on the 12th of October 2021. Mr Acting President, I think you get my point. We know Labor's track voting record on this issue. Yet curiously today, we see the government has itchy feet to rush it through. Curiously, the government is supporting this initiative now. So, Mr Acting President, what's changed? We all remember Labor's corflutes from the 2022 election after they didn't support the formal attempt to change this legislation. We all remember Labor's corflutes lining the streets far and wide with a promise to fix the ramping crisis. This government was happy to line the streets with corflutes then for an election commitment that I think arguably you could say in its current status is a broken commitment. Ramping is exponentially worse under this government. When South Australians listened to Labor when they said, vote Labor like your life depends on it, because it just might, I don't think that this is what they were expecting. So what has changed, Mr Acting President? Why has Labor changed their tune? To quote my colleague in the lower house, one can only join the dots. With a by-election in Dunstan around the corner, one has to wonder, why now? With a by-election around the corner with ramping worse than before, one has to wonder, why now? Why, Mr President, does the Labor government not want to hang corflutes on Stobie poles yet again to promise that they will fix the ramping crisis? A ramping crisis that they have already committed to fix, but it's gotten worse and worse under their watch. It is interesting that this government was happy to put up those corflutes for that promise in 2022, yet they've conveniently changed their position now. Whilst I have no doubt that this will be a very welcome change in the community, thanks to this Liberal initiative, I think the timing around Labor's flip to support this bill is quite curious.